Hi, this is János, it's Real World Audio, and I'm reading my comments, trying to catch up with them, but I saw there's a ton of them, and I'm just reading them and see if I can answer something. And Lytton Farah was asking a question. I saw a pair of Ampex tube monoblocks sold quite cheap. You must have made a bargain getting them if they sound great. Never heard them so far and found no specs. What output do they have? So basically, what are these Ampex amplifiers? If you search for them, there's like a whole series of them. Ampex was making the amplifiers for movie theaters. So if you grew up like a generation or two ago, and you were going to the movies, then it was, in the United States, it was Ampex amplifiers that were driven and by, the movies were driven by Ampex amplifiers. And there's a wide range of them, depending, and their output power varied greatly. So if it was like a small theater room, they had much lower power output, but for the really large rooms, like the IMAX theaters, they had like really high power gear. And all of these, from lowest power to highest power, sound exceptionally amazing. And eventually mine, they came from a theater demolishing, and actually that's when you get them like that, none of these Ampexes will work in your system, so they are not plug and play. You have to modify them to be able to plug it into a stereo system. Now I don't want to get into details what you need to modify. I have videos. Some of the very first videos I made on this channel was where I just went through in detail what I modified on this Ampex amplifier. I'm showing the amp, I'm showing the schematics, I'm going through each and every change. That's one of my very first videos on this channel. And it's a really lengthy process, and I didn't just make those changes, I literally took apart the entire amplifier, every connection, every tube socket. I put in fresh tube sockets and completely rebuilt it, and took out the circuit board, point-to-point wiring, and I also have a big laundry list of what upgrades and what changes I did and why I did them. And the way I made the changes was so that I keep the original character of the amplifier, so I did not put in changes that took the sound to a very different way compared to how the amp sounded. And indeed, when those amps were in the movie theater, I heard them performing. I was there as an audience listening, and now I can hear it like in my home, and really it has the same character here with the voice of Lancelot as they did with those other Altec speakers that were in the movie theater. The only difference is that now, after the remod, they have a they're much better than they were at the movie theater. But even if you don't do that kind of heavy remod on them, you just make sure that it can receive like a line level input signal and put out to your speakers. It will still be a really amazing amplifier. You will notice that if you compare it to, let's say, like an Audionaut or something, anything that like costs between $10,000 and $500,000 amplifier, you will hear then certain things that it doesn't do as well as a mega expensive amplifier, but you will also hear that it just plays music incredibly well, and it's just so natural, incredibly natural, and you just want to listen to it non-stop. And with these ultra expensive present day amplifiers, even if it's not ultra expensive, just it's a great amplifier, you will be extremely beyond extremely hard pressed to find anything that even comes close anywhere near the to give you that pleasure level that the Ampexes give you. And the crazy thing with it, that it's a push-pull amplifier, but it has that kind of character that you get from the best single-ended triodes. So it's a push-pull pentode, giving it a sound that we think of as the best of single-ended triodes sound like that. And this is an antique push-pull pentode amplifier, and so just to get an idea what's the sound like. And all of the Ampexes sound like that. And what I have is the baby Ampex. So this is the one that was used to as the monitoring amplifier. So when they created the soundtracks in Hollywood, and they did the mastering and engineering of the song and the sound, and then they had a test small movie theater where they listened to it, where they voiced their recordings, they used these amps for the voicing. So these were the critical Ampexes. And when you go for the bigger Ampexes, yes, they will give much higher output than these, but the quality will be less and less refined compared to the baby Ampex. And of course, these amplifiers are voiced for voice of the theater loudspeakers, and they are the match. So they will build for each other. So the voice of the theater series was built for the Ampex series. That's how they match. That's the perfect match. And when you want to build a system, to have a system synergy, if you have voice of the theater speakers and you mate it with Ampexes, it will be unbelievable. And what do you need at home? Well, if you have like an IMAX theater, then you need the big Ampex. At home, you only need the big Ampex if you are not matching it to voice of the theater speakers, but you are matching it to inefficient speakers. Then yes, you can use those 100 or even 200 watt Ampexes. And even in those cases, when people report of doing that, they always report that that's the best amp they heard in their life. It's not uncommon to hear that. It might not be the case every single time, but every time I heard or read a report on an Ampex being tried out in a modern system, it was a jaw drop, like a complete, total, massive landslide jaw drop. And also, if you want to read for yourself one review of Ampexes, read the Glowinthedark Audios report on it. He is trying out the Big Brother's Big Brother Ampex, which is like a couple steps higher output power than mine, and that's what he records there. That's what he shares, is that it sounds like a triode amplifier. It has that kind of human character to it, but it also has just unimaginable power with that. Actually, I have to add that I never heard the bigger Ampexes in a home system or in a stereo system, but I have friends who heard them, and they also so there's Jimmy, and then he was telling me after he heard my baby Ampexes in my system that he thinks that they sound quite a bit better than the big Ampexes. And of course in my setup, in my room, that's all you need. So my baby Ampexes, they have a 20 watt per channel output, and now when I couple it to 102 dB per watt sensitivity, well, that gives like over 115 dB per meter output level, which is just excruciatingly loud. And I would say it's not excruciatingly loud, but you can listen to it like beyond loud and not get a fatigue. So it's not excruciating, it's just I would say, I'm reframing it. So it's traumatizingly loud. But after that, even like when we did that with, when my friends were here, we listened to, like, we maxed out the volume on the Ampexes with my voice-over Lancelots, so we had like the full 20 watts engaged, and we listened to like I think like 2 or 3 hours of the system just at full blast. And after, my ears were not ringing, it was okay. So, and that's because the speakers can handle that output without going into distortion. And if you have that kind of efficient speakers, 20 watts, the power that the small Ampexes put out is all you will ever need. You only need the bigger Ampexes when you have either like very inefficient speakers, or you have incredibly large room like a movie theater hall. And also when you are, anyone is looking to hunt for these Ampexes, actually the smaller output models, they are much more affordable because no one wants them, no one knows about them. Most people don't know about the monitor Ampex amplifier. Most people are just looking for the high power output Ampexes. That's what most of the talk is about. Why? Because most people listen to them with inefficient loudspeakers and they want those 100+ watts to drive them. But those are the most expensive, hardest to find, of course hardest, I mean most expensive to restore as well. And will give you the least refined experience if you have the loudspeakers that match them, which have 100+ dB sensitivity. And it's not just about sensitivity, but these amplifiers were made to match those speakers. So thank you, Litan, for your question. I hope this was a little bit helpful, this little sharing. And what I want to share now, why I also picked this question to answer, because I will going to get into the details, and a lot of people are saying that, oh, I cannot get these amplifiers, so how can I build one? Well, one way is that you look at the schematics of this amplifier and just get the parts and just build it for yourself. And even if you use modern parts, you will get at least 90% of the experience, or even more. Maybe if you can source higher quality parts than what the Ampex used, you will get something even more pleasing for you. I can't say better because it's a lot of the audio is really subjective. So what one calls better, another person calls just different. Of course, when the different, there's like a vast gap between the two, then we can all say, yeah, it's better or worse. But often the difference is not this way, but the difference is this way. So it's like different tastes and not different levels. So what I will be doing is that my buddy has been asking me to modify a pair of Heathkit amplifiers for him, the W6s. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rebuild the Heathkit W6s, but he requested me to use the Ampex's input and driver stage to drive the output stage in the W6 to basically create a Heathkit version of the Ampex amplifier. And that's what I'm going to do, and I will share this whole process with you. So we will start, like I will get the schematics of the Ampex, look at the schematics of the Heath, look what we have with the Heathkit, what we should be bringing there, and I will just explain to you the whole process, how you can do it, or how I am doing it. So that's just one way of doing it. It can be done multiple ways, but you will see I will make it make you involved with that story, how that goes on, and hopefully it will be of help for everyone who wants to build their take of Ampexes, or if you want to build something else, you might learn a few tips of how to do things, or maybe you will perceive some things as bad examples. If so, then just let me know in the comments in the future that I do it in a different way. And that's why I'm doing these videos, because I have a lot to share, but I have a lot to learn as well. So I'm not in a hermetically sealed box that I have certain knowledge and I'm resilient against new information. No, I made this channel because now I can connect with you, and I share some things to you that you can use, and you can also share with me things that I can use, and I'm really glad when these sharings occur. So everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you, Litan, for your question, and I will post Glowinthedark Audios link below, and then we'll mention that amplifier there as well. And I think there it is called as the Altec, under one of the Altec names. So that's essentially the same company, like Ampex, Altec, Western Electric. So it's the same line, and in different time periods they had different names to them, but it's that series of amplifiers that I was talking about now. So which are the movie theater amplifiers designed for the voice of the theater speakers. And actually I also have a pair of those amplifiers that he's talking about on his site, and hopefully one day I will restore them, and I can show you the process how I do that. And yep, have an awesome day. Bye bye.